There you go. So for those who are watching on the video replay, you might have just seen the technical mishap that I had. Everyone watching live did. So don't worry about it. How is everybody? Everybody okay? Good evening once again to everyone who's joining here live. I massively appreciate you if you're listening in on the audio experience as well. Very, very grateful for that. Guys, if you are on live now and you're like, you know what, one night you can't catch this live and maybe you don't want to watch the whole video replay, you want to listen in the car, you can subscribe to the Act on This TV audio experience on iTunes and on Stitcher.com as well, and you can just listen to the audio of these, particularly the book club one, like tonight, Wednesday night's book club night, guys, where I'm reading a book. Might be nice for you to just listen, you don't have to watch, because ultimately I'm probably not that interesting to look at when I've got my head in a book, but the information is still, very, very relevant. So how is everybody? It's been a really odd couple of days. Those in the UK, well, actually, I think probably everyone around the world knows what happened in the UK. 2 nights ago, we were on Periscope at 9 p.m. till about 10 past 9, and then tragically, at about 10:33, there was a terrorist attack in Manchester. I'm from Manchester. I live about 5 miles away from the Manchester Arena that was hit by the attack. Absolute tragedy. Made me feel sick when I woke up the next day. I went to bed before that, guys. You know when I say I get off these Periscopes and I just go straight to bed? That's what I did. Didn't know what had happened until the next morning. And thank you so much. I had so many people in the Act on This community reach out to me going, like, the next day, oh my goodness, right, I woke up to messages going, just heard what's happened, are you all right? I wasn't at that gig. I go to a lot of gigs at the MEN, though, the Manchester, I don't think it's called the MEN anymore. It used to be called the Manchester Evening News Arena. I think it's just the Manchester Arena now. But yeah, thank you so much for kind of reaching out for your concern. Steve says he works in the city centre, vile scene, seen kids crying because it's just really, really bad, right? I mean, I think it hit me hardest because it hit me harder than other events you see around the world when it is in your home city. It's a very odd feeling. When you see it in London or elsewhere around the world, I mean, your heart goes out to those people, but when it's actually on your doorstep, it gets a lot more real. But what I've seen, I don't want to dwell on all the negativity, and that, I think there's enough of that in the world. I think Facebook's been full of it. There's been a lot of stuff said on Facebook that's been said emotionally, where people haven't been thinking about what they're saying. Emotions are running high. People allow their emotions to rule them, as opposed to them ruling their emotions. And things are said in haste that should never have probably been said. What I have seen that I've been so proud of this city over the last couple of days is just such an outpouring of solidarity from every single community, every single faith, colour, creed, religion, background, and also just an outpouring of love from around the world. It amazes me at times like this just how humane and compassionate people can be, and I just wish it wouldn't take a tragedy like this for us to live our lives like this. So I hope this continues moving forward without something like this having to happen again. And unfortunately, I think this is probably going to become a little bit more of a regular thing for a while until we tackle this, however we're going to tackle it. And, I'm not the best person to give people ideas on how we can actually solve this problem. But what I really like and what I want to talk about tonight is the fact that Manchester didn't suddenly slip into victim status. They stood up and were like, no, we're going to be victors of this situation. And as horrific as it is, it's brought so many people together. And we're going to talk tonight about how easy it is in our lives and our acting careers. I don't want to talk about world tragedies like this. I don't want to get people down. We're going to relate this to our own lives and our acting careers. Dawn says we do get complacent at times. I think we do, Dawn, absolutely. When things are going well, then, sometimes we can forget about compassion and looking out for other people. It sounds like these where something. Oh, Tony, I missed your comment. Something about empowering. You can look at situations like this, and a lot of coaching that I do with people in Bulletproof Actor, the course that I run for confidence, is looking at situations that are tragic and actually going, you know what, we have to use these to empower us. There's no alternative. The alternative is this rules us now for the next. Potentially some of the small children there who witness things they should never have witnessed. They go, okay, and they're too young to get this right now, but they can either that experience can either affect them negatively for the next 80 years of their life. If they're going to be on the planet, they're only like 10, 11. Maybe they live another 80, 90 years, or the people around them have to teach them how to use that experience, to empower them moving forward and to actually put good out into the world. Because the alternative is unthinkable, really. You can't let something rule your life for another 90 years because that person who did that to you has already won. If you do that, and they end up beating you twice, effectively. So we're going to look at Susan Jeffers' book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, because there's a lot of fear around right now, and that's absolutely, it's totally obvious it's going to happen at times like this. We're going to look at Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, and we're going to look at how we all can take full responsibility for where we are at in our lives and not fall victim to this victim status. Loving the t-shirt, Ross says, Dawn. Yeah, I've got a t-shirt on that says 0% complaining on it for those who are on the audio experience. You can't see this. But it's something I buy into a lot. It's like, you know what? I have nothing to complain about in my life. When you look at what has happened over the last couple of days, again, it hits home, guys. If you are worrying about piddling little shitty things in your life, like, oh, what does this person think about me? Or will this casting director like me? Or did I screw that audition up? Or, oh, I've put on 2 pounds this week. Bullshit. 0% complaining. You are in full control of your life, okay? And if you woke up this morning above ground with air in your nostrils, you are winning, because there's 22 people over the last couple of days who don't have the opportunity now, who would probably give anything, and their families would give anything to have the opportunity that you now have of literally just being a living human being on this planet right now. So we must never forget that. Lucy, good evening. And so we're going to look at, how you don't, seven actual, Susan's written 7 ways to not fall into this victim status, and how you can take full responsibility for where you are at, 0% complaining, okay, and you can use any of the fear that's still hanging around or whatever to fuel you moving forward, so you are not stuck in the past, and you are using the present for good to put you in a better place in the future. We looked at this book for the last 2 weeks, guys, so very, very quick recap. In week 1, we looked at the fact that fear, ultimately, is you saying to yourself, I cannot handle X, whatever it is. So when you say, I don't want to, I'm afraid of that audition, of going into that room and, not doing a good job, you're effectively saying, I cannot handle making a fool of myself in front of that person, or I cannot handle it if this goes wrong. I cannot handle it, if I screw up. I cannot handle it if I forget my lines, whatever it might be in your life. And if you're not an actor, you can relate that to anything. When you are saying, I am fearful of something, or I am afraid, you are saying, I cannot handle it, okay, if X happens. Susan says, look, if you can develop a trust in yourself, just develop a deep trust in yourself to be able to handle anything life throws at you, because everyone on here will have been through traumatic things in their life that before they happened, they would have thought, I can't handle it if that happens. And it happened, okay? And you handled it. So if you can develop that trust intrinsically that you're going to be able to handle anything life throws at you, ultimately you have nothing to fear, because you no longer have to control the situations you go into, because you're open to whatever happening, because you're going to handle it. So that was week 1. It was a powerful lesson, okay? Week 2 was actually like a bit of a double edge. It was saying basically that fear will never go away. You are never going to get rid of fear if you are growing in your life. So if you are constantly pushing yourself to become better, you are constantly improving in areas of your life and ultimately winning at life and having success, fear is always going to be there, because you're always pushing yourself into new territory and uncharted ground. I had a call today, a pretty amazing opportunity, right? I don't think it's going to happen now because of dates clashing, but basically someone phoned me up and went, look, I'll pay for you all-inclusive trip to Singapore for 4 days, business class flights, hotel, and I'll pay you to be there if you come along and film this project for me, like document this. I'd basically have to follow someone with a camera and document this journey that they were going on. Instantly, you know what I did? Rather than going, oh my goodness, this is such an amazing opportunity, my brain, this is how it works, tried to protect me by going, Ross, that's a bit out of your comfort zone. You're not a cameraman, and you're going to a country on the other side of the world you've never been to before. Oh, fear is kicking in. A bit of anxiousness is kicking in. And my instant reaction was to go, I'm really not sure about this. And then I found myself going, I'll have to check my calendar. Maybe there might be something coming up. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Because this is an amazing opportunity. And it took about 20 seconds, 30 seconds for me to go, right, feel the fear and do it anyway. You know, if you are feeling fear, this is an experience that is going to push you and is going to, ultimately, it's not really going to push me. I'm going on a business class flight. It's going to be a luxury. But it's going to push me a bit out of my comfort zone to go to a part of the world I've never been to before. and do something that isn't a core competency of mine. I normally am in front of the camera. I'm not holding a camera and following someone. There's pressure there to capture moments that if I didn't capture them, you wouldn't get again, because it's obviously it's live. It's not a rehearsed thing. But I felt that fear. I felt it again, and I'm so aware of it. But it's good when you can catch yourself feeling it, and go, actually, I know that if I'm feeling it, then I'm actually on the right path. I'm doing something that's that's stretching me and taking me to somewhere where I've never been before, and I'm going to grow because of that. Brian, good evening. So that was week 2, and then tonight, we're going to look at seven ways, ultimately, for you to just take control of your life. And she talks quite real in this chapter, Susan. She's a bit of real talk here, and she's basically saying, look, whether you like it or not, and this is hard to hear from people sometimes, whether you like it or not. And I had a real dose of this 3 weeks ago, a proper dose of reality. When someone not called me out, but kind of went, look, if what you're telling me isn't working, it's because of you. It's shit. It's not good enough. And I was like, oh my God, but I put so much effort in. And I'm like, no, it can't be good enough because it isn't working. So I need to do better. Susan in the book says, look, ultimately, if you are not where you want to be, whether you like it or not, or you know it or not, you are playing the victim. Okay. And I want you to really be honest with yourself as we're going through this, if this is you. So if you're ready, let's get stuck in, okay? It's not quite a longish chapter. Probably going to be here till 10, so I'll be here for 45 minutes. If that's cool with you, give me some hearts if you're ready, and I will begin reading. Jennifer Cars is here as well. She just joined. Newpt Sturl, 58. Don't know who that really is, but thanks for joining us. The hearts are coming through. People are ready. Tuck yourself in. Like I say, you don't even need to look at the screen. If you just want to listen, I'm just going to read to you guys for a little while. Whoever's blue is coming through loud and clear on the hearts. Appreciate that. There are plenty of hearts coming through. So Susan says, let's have a look. My internet keeps going, says Eloise. Oh, Eloise, it's streaming perfectly for me. X out of the Periscope and jump back in. Hopefully it'll... Periscope servers, depending on which one you connect to, can be a pain in the arse sometimes. I've connected to a good one. It's solid, this connection. If other people are struggling, X out, come back in, and if you're all struggling, let me know, because I'll have a check. And Stephen's the guy with the blue hearts. Appreciate it, Steve. And David is here as well. So Susan says, are you a victim? And ask yourself properly now, honest with yourself, right? You don't have to answer it and tell me. Be honest with yourself. Are you a victim, or are you taking responsibility for your life? So many of us think we are taking responsibility for our own lives when we simply are not. The victim mentality is very subtle and takes many forms. Once you understand the concepts in this chapter, you will better understand the dynamics of handling fear. The idea of taking responsibility for your own life is probably not totally new to you. For years, you've been bombarded with messages, take responsibility for your own life. But I'm convinced that most of us do not really understand what that means. So we're going to find out what that means, guys. So most of us, independent people, okay, it's meant that we should go out, get a job, earn enough money to support ourselves, and not depend on anyone else for our survival. And that may or not be part of it. I know many dependent people who understand the secret of taking responsibility for their experience of life, but it certainly doesn't hit the heart of the issue, which is much bigger, yet more invisible than that. Let's look at a few examples. So you're going to get people who do think they're taking responsibility for their life. They go out, they've got a job, they're completely financially secure, they're doing all this stuff, yet they're still not happy. So we're going to give you a few examples. Edward is an extremely wealthy, high-powered executive who lives in a constant state of anxiety. When I suggested that he get some professional help, he responded that if people in his life would change, everything would be fine. If only his wife would be more loving, if only his boss wasn't always leaning on him. Turning the page. And if only... It's quite hard to turn the page and balance all this. And if only his son would stop taking drugs, okay, then he'd be fine. He feels there's no reason for him to get help. It's all their fault. Is he taking responsibility for his experience of life? Absolutely not. Mara is objectively sitting on top of the world. She has a great job, she lives in a lovely apartment, has many friends and lovers. Her continual complaint, though, is about her ex-husband. He's making her life miserable. He's always been unfair to her. He never pays child support. Also, her son is turning against her and accusing her of being selfish, and on and on and on. Is she taking responsibility for her experience of life? Absolutely not. I know many single or divorced people who are constantly complaining about their ex-husbands or their ex-wives, their bosses, their loneliness, the lousy single scene, and so on and so on. I know many married people who are constantly lamenting about their children, their lack of money, their lack of communication with their spouses, and so on. Are any of them really taking responsibility for their experience of life? Not at all. They are all in some way playing the role of victim. They have given their power to someone or something else. Keep in mind that when you give your power, you move further and farther to the left side of the pain to power chart. And as a result, you become paralyzed in your attempts to deal with fear. And I'm going to show you what the pain to power chart looks like, guys. Let's have a look. I'm just actually going to have to... Right, you're gonna see this, and then you're not actually going to hear me, okay, for a second, because I'm going to have to actually activate my microphone on this slide. So this is going to be silent for a second, maybe 10, 15 seconds, but have a look at this chart. And this is moving from pain on the left, where people who allow fear to take control of their lives live, to moving to power on the right. And that's where people take hold of fear and actually, deal with it, okay? So check this out, and I'll join you audio-wise in about 10 seconds when I've set this up. So there you go. Should be coming through clear now. I just forgot to actually add the microphone to that slide. So yeah, you will see how we hold fear here. Okay, you got pain on the left, and how we hold fear. We are helpless. We feel helplessness when we are holding pain and fear. We feel depression. Okay, Simon says he loves the pain to power chart, and then that leads to paralysis. Okay, so when we hold fear as pain, we feel helplessness, depression, and paralysis. And then when we control fear, which we're learning to do in this book, and hopefully you are learning, at least to acknowledge when you are feeling fear anyway, we move towards the power end of the scale. And when we are in power, we go from helplessness to choice. Okay, we can choose. We're no longer helplessness. We can choose what we do. We go from excitement, from depression to excitement, and paralysis to action. And that's the biggest word I always use, guys. The one thing I smash on about all the time. The reason Act on This is called Act on This is not because of acting. It's a kind of double play on the words. It's because I want people to act on the information they find on the site. Not just consume it and go, that's nice to know. Take action, because ultimately action is the only thing that's going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So it's quite interesting, the Pain to Power chart. If you want to learn more about it, there's a few more examples of this in the book. I think I know where I am at the moment and also where I need to be, says Simon. Awesome. Well, this is great, man, because guys, every scope we do, it's not about, nailing it and you actually taking everything on board and going, now I know that and I've got it all fixed and all sorted out. I haven't got that, all fixed and sorted at all. I'm learning and I'm just passing everything on to you. So I read a chapter of this book, implement it in my own life, hopefully, and then regurgitate it all to you guys, give my opinion on it, and then you go away and you take it on board. But you're not instantly going to get a fix. It's constant improvement. So you don't have to have it all figured out all the time. And every scope, all I want you to get from these really is self-awareness of recognizing these things in yourself, okay, and whether you are being the victim at the moment or the victor of your situation. So that's the Pain to Power chart. You can take a screenshot of that now if you want. If you're watching live on the Periscope app, you can screenshot that so you can see it. If you're not, you can by all means get yourself the book from Amazon. It's about for £6. It's very cheap. I'm learning and growing every day, says Dawn. Well, that's it. It's literally, that is the key. So yeah, back to the book. So Susan says, they're all in some way playing the role of victim. They've given their power to someone or something else. And keep in mind, when you give away your power, okay, you move farther and farther to the left side of that chart that you've just seen. On a more obvious level, if you're in a job you hate, who's in a job right now they hate? Good way of thinking about it, says Jennifer. Awesome, Jen. Give me some hearts or some yeses if you're actually in a job you hate. This is just interesting because I was like this for 11 years. It's a job I liked it for about 3 years, to be honest. It was just the kind of the last 8 that sucked. But yeah, if you're actually in a job that you hate, I'd just like to know. Tony Rossi says, oh yes, Tony, man, what I admire about you though, dude, is you're a super positive guy, and I see you jumping from job to different job. So you're at least not. One of the things we're going to read about is staying in a job because of the payoffs it gives you in terms of comfort and complacency. You don't do that. You at least move around. I've seen you this week going to expos and stuff in the States. Weekend job I hate, weekday job I love, says Steve. No, very lucky just to do acting, says Si. That's awesome. I was a bankruptcy officer once and it was awful, says Caroline. Wow, yeah, but that, quite emotional seeing everybody lose their livelihood, I expect. Yeah, that's a bit of a depressing job, that, Caroline. I'm glad you're out of that if you are, hopefully. So, yeah, on a more obvious level, if you're in a job you hate, if you're single and you want to be married, or if you're in a lousy relationship and you want to get out of that, or if your daughter is making you grey before your time, and if, generally speaking, nothing seems to be going your way or the way you want it to go, you're also playing the victim, okay? No wonder you're fearful. Victims are powerless. Now, don't instantly kick back defensively and go, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. I'm not playing the victim. Everything's going wrong because nothing to do with me. We need to look at this properly and go, really, is that the case? You know, is the common denominator in every relationship that goes wrong that other person, or is it you? Okay? So let's not go on the defensive here. Let's actually look at this. I'm grey before my time, no daughter required, says Steve. Amazing. So the truth is, and this is a brilliant part of the book, guys, the truth is, if you really are in control, in total control, which you are, by the way, for some reason, you are consciously or unconsciously choosing to be in that lousy job. You are choosing to hate the single life. Jen says it's scary to take responsibility, but empowering. It is, Jen. You are choosing to hate the single life. You are choosing to stay in a destructive relationship. You are choosing to let your daughter drive you crazy. You are choosing to sabotage anything good in your life or whatever else it may be for you. And I know it's difficult, she says, to accept that fact that you are the cause of the feelings that take away your joy in life. It's very upsetting when you begin to see yourself as your own worst enemy. But on the other hand, this realization is your biggest blessing. I want you to write this down if you've got a pen. This is the most empowering statement in this chapter, I think. She says, if you know you can create your own misery, which might be the realization for you right now, it stands to reason that you can also create your own joy. So if you know you can create your own misery, because I've done this, you know, I've done this. I absolutely have done this. I felt low. It would have been very easy today, actually. I felt quite low the last couple of days. I've been very conscious of what's happened in these attacks in Manchester, and it really has put a bit of a cloud over my state of being. And I've done this myself, you know. It's very easy to kind of then you know, subconsciously put on sad music. And then just sit here going, oh, the world's a terrible place. Everyone's out to get us. I've done that myself. Not this time, but in previous times, I've absolutely caught myself doing stuff like that. It's difficult to accept, but things get easier to deal with when you do. They do. When you take responsibility, you get all your control back. It's so empowering. Where you're like, you know what? That relationship went wrong. I take full responsibility for that. Because whatever my part was in that, even if I only played 25% of that or whatever it is for you, I'm going to take full responsibility of that. I'm going to stand up and take my power back. I listen to sad music anyway. Can't beat the Gallaghers, says Steve. Oasis can be a bit sad. Got some good songs though. So if you know, you can create your own misery, it stands to reason that you can create your own joy, right? That's what we've got to take away from this. Since taking responsibility for your experience of life is an elusive concept, I will explain the components of a more powerful way of living. Note that I have been careful not to ask you to believe that you're responsible for all your experiences in life, although there are some who would argue that you are. Rather, I ask you to believe you are the cause of all of your experiences of life, meaning that you are the cause of your reactions to everything that happens to you. So you've got to get that distinction there. You can't control sometimes the experiences you have in life. Life will thrust you. Bless them, those people at that concert, they went to a concert for an amazing time. They were thrust into hell. You can't control that. You have no control over that idiot doing what he did. The people who were lucky enough to survive that now, with a lot of help, and it's traumatic as hell, but have the choice now to allow that to rule them forever or choose to actually use that to empower them. Get counselling, get help, do whatever they need to do. They actually have control of how this turns out. We have a responsibility to live for them now as well, Jen. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, Jen. So I think about stuff like that all the time. I run for charity sometimes. I do a few marathons and things like that, and I run for a charity that is in conjunction with the eye condition that I've got. So I've got a retinal condition that robs you of your eyesight throughout your life, unfortunately. And I'm very lucky at 34 to still have my sight, and I'm so grateful to be able to read a book because there's kids with my condition who I have met at 11 years old who are completely blind. So every time I'm running that marathon, and I don't have great vision at all, and I don't have very good peripheral vision, so people just appear out of nowhere for me. It's you're getting like shocks every 2 seconds. It's like people just step out in front of you because you don't see them coming. But I think every time I'm running, I'm doing this for those people who can't. And I think that's a really empowering thing to do as well. There's people who lost their lives this week who just can't do what you now can do. You have the opportunity because you're here. So it's, it's a really good mindset to have, I think, as long as you're focusing on actually living, not on the tragedy. So as you read the following 7 definitions of taking responsibility, keep remembering that whenever you are not taking responsibility, you put yourself in a position of pain and hence decrease your ability to handle the fear in your life. All right, so we're going to look at these 7 things. I'll look at them quite briefly because there's 7 of them and I don't want to keep you guys all night. And then we'll do a little recap. But I would absolutely recommend everybody gets this book and reads it for themselves. It's one of the only ones I've done a book club where I'm like, I want everyone to buy this. I just think it's great. Okay, so the first one, take responsibility. Okay, so taking responsibility means never blaming anyone else for anything you are being, doing, having, or feeling. Never. Okay, and she says, never, you say. All right, Brian. It says, never, you say. But this time, it really is his fault. This is what people say. But this time, it is his fault. Or her fault. Okay, or the boss's fault, or my son's fault, or the economy's fault, or my mother's fault, or my father's fault, or my friend's fault. And Susan says, really? Is it? If I missed anyone or anything, just add it to that list, okay, until you fully understand that you and no one else create what goes on in your head. You will never be in control of your life until you realize that. Here are a few situations I've heard in my classes and the questions these individuals had to ask themselves before they were able to move to a more powerful place. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, so Brian, it's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. So here's 2 people in the class that she's talking about and their excuses when really they realise they're playing the victim. So Madeline says, well, it certainly was my husband's fault that the last 25 years of my life have been so miserable. Maybe some women on here relate to that. And then Susan says, well, why did you choose to stay? Why couldn't you take in any of the nice things he did for you instead of only finding faults? Why are you so filled with anger that he finds it impossible to communicate with you? David says, well, it certainly wasn't my son's fault. It certainly was my son's fault that I have grey hair from worrying about him. And Susan says, well, why didn't you believe that he would find his own way? Why did you always need to rescue him? Why did you make him so much an extension of yourself that you expected too much from him? Why couldn't you just let him be who he is? Tony, well, it certainly is the fault of the job market that I'm stuck in this lousy job. Actors, you'll relate to this. I hear this all the time. It's quiet. There's no jobs for actors around. It's nonsense. I write about new commissions in TV every day of the week, practically, on actonthis.tv. It's never quiet. There's people getting jobs every day of the week. Don't use that as a victim excuse. Oh, well, I'm certainly going to be unemployed because there's no jobs anyway. Why can't you see that others are finding jobs even if the job market is so poor? Why are you not creating more satisfaction in the job you already have? Why aren't you even trying to find a new job? Why are you not asking for what you want in the job you're already in instead of constantly complaining that nothing is right? And why aren't you committed to doing the best you can do? 0% complaining. 0% complaining. Love this t-shirt. So they're just 3 examples of people not taking responsibility for what they have, do, are feeling. They're just playing full-on victim and they're in full excuse mode. You might recognize yourself in there. I definitely was in that for a couple of years when I was in that shop that I hated 10 years ago, without a doubt. I used to blame everything. Oh, well, no agents will see me. Well, what are you doing to make them see you? You're just writing the same bog standard bullshit letters? Yep, that's what I was doing. You're just approaching the industry exactly the same as you've been doing for the last year, 2 years, and expecting a different result. Yes, that's what I was doing. It wasn't until I changed tact, realized I was in control and started taking specific action that things started to change for me. I was just a victim before that. Number 2, taking responsibility means not blaming yourself either. So this is an interesting one. Don't blame anyone else ever, but also don't get hung up on going, right, I'm a terrible person, I'm going to blame myself for everything. Do you think excuses are a safety net? Definitely, Jen. Definitely. And Si says he's not even writing the letters to agents. There you go, Si. There you go, man. Well, we're going to help you with that. That's fine. You can definitely drop me some emails and we'll jump on Skype and I can help you with that. But yeah, don't blame yourself either, because this is just as destructive. So this sounds contradictory, Susan says, but it's not. Anything that takes away your power or your pleasure makes you a victim. Don't make yourself a victim of yourself, all right? For some, this is more difficult than not blaming others. Once you become aware that you've actually created so much of your own unhappiness, you may have a tendency to punish yourself. Who's done that? Who's been like, oh my God, you're such a dick. Oh, you're a terrible person. Why did you do that? You always ruin everything. Has it served you well? Or has it just prolonged your pain and taken away all of your power? Because I'm sure all of us, if we're honest with ourselves, have done that at some point, and it gets you nowhere, all right? You should never put yourself down like that, okay? You're saying things like, there I am messing up again in my life. I'm hopeless. When will I ever learn? Dawn says, yeah. This, again, is not taking responsibility for your experience of life, guys, because that isn't always down to you, okay? But it's important to understand that you have always done the best you possibly could, okay, given the person you were at any particular time. So even if you've made, and I say this to people who beat themselves up about bad decisions or feel guilty, the fact that you feel guilt about something is a really good thing, because it means your standards now are higher than they were when you made that decision. So that's a good thing. You've grown through it. You've gone, oh my God, I recognise that was a shit thing to do. I shouldn't have done it. You're a better person than you were when you did that. So don't punish yourself and dwell on what you were. Focus on what you are, okay? And let yourself off. You did the best you could with what you had when you did that. And the decisions you have made also don't define who you are as a person. So a decision you made 5 years ago doesn't define you as a person today, as long as you've learned by it and you're not going to do it again, all right? I've always got time to forgive anyone for practically anything once. If I see you making that decision again, I'm like, that's a problem. This is similar to Breen Brown. Oh, I don't know that, David. I don't know who that is. Post in the Facebook group, though, facebook.com/groups/act on this TV. Let us know if you think it'd be helpful. So yeah, you've always got to give yourself, a bit of grace there, okay? So now that you're learning a new way of thinking, you can begin to perceive things differently and possibly change many of your actions moving forward. There's absolutely no need to be upset with your past, present, or future behavior. It's all simply part of the learning process. Okay, the process of moving forward from pain to power, like we saw in that chart. And it takes time. You must be patient with yourself. There's never any need to be down on yourself. Nothing is your fault. Okay, yes, you cause your own unhappiness, but this is no reason to cast blame. You're simply on the path toward greater self-fulfillment, and it's a lengthy process of trial and error, all right? So as well as never blame anyone else for where you're at, also never be too harsh on yourself and just go, it's all my fault, okay? Focus on who you want to be, who you are now, not who you were then, and who you want to become, all right? So that's point number 2. Point number 3, taking responsibility means being aware of where and when you are not taking responsibility so that you can eventually change, okay? So recognizing when you're not taking responsibility. And Susan says it took her years before she realized that she did this, okay? She played the victim role most often with men in her life, and maybe you do in relationships as well, okay? Or it might be your acting career or something completely different. She says she remembers many evenings of complaining for countless hours with her girlfriends about the grief the man in her life was causing her, okay? Those jerks, as I so self-righteously called them, were always doing something to take away my happiness. One was always late, one was incredibly stingy, one didn't make enough money, one loved to play golf too much, one wouldn't get a divorce, and so on. She could certainly choose the guys then, by the sound of things. She says, I was able to build up incredible anger and resentment about them. Hours and hours on the phone of, would you believe he actually did this or that? Naturally, my loyal friends shared my drama as I shared their upset about their men. This is what people do a lot of times as well, because it takes way less effort to get yourself out of a shit situation than and complain to other people how bad your life is, so they then go, oh, well, my life's just as bad, and you all settle for a bad life, than it does to get yourself out of that. You've got to raise your standards and sometimes be very honest with other people if you see them wallowing and playing the victim as well, and just go, listen, come on. Let's get out of this. I think this woman is me, says Caroline. Amazing, Caroline. Okay, so it was a moan and groan society, as Susan puts it. We never seemed to tire of each other's stories. No wonder we fed each other the martyrdom we were obviously enjoying. I see people do this in the acting industry all the time, addicted to the struggle. They fucking love the struggle, because it gives them a purpose of, and helps them not take responsibility. The payoff was that we didn't have to create our own happiness. We could simply blame men for not giving it to us. This is very important, okay, in anything in your life. During this time, I was certain I was taking responsibility for my life. Just like my friend Mara, I was making a wonderful living. I had a great apartment. I was totally independent. But I wasn't taking responsibility for my life. I was still expecting the men in my life to make me happy. I finally learned there's really only one person in the world who can make me happy, and that is me. Ironically, only through the realization of this was I able for the first time to have a wonderfully nurturing relationship. If you're struggling in relationships, listen to this, right? I think this is going to help people. I'm going to be aware of it if I get into another relationship with Kate Middleton, who's going to become queen when she divorces Prince William. So, only joking. So here we go. So now I know that when I am angry at my husband, I simply have to ask myself, what am I not doing in my own life that I could be doing that I'm blaming him for not doing for me? Read that one again. What am I not doing in my life? Okay, not doing in my life that I could be doing that I am blaming him for not doing for me. Okay? I'm now quickly able to tune into what it is. Either I'm being obsessive about money, or I'm feeling insecure, or I'm not creating enough activity for myself, or I'm expecting him to make all better. Something that I'm not handling. So she's not able to handle the fear, so she's actually expecting him to handle it for her. Thus, it's making a strain in the relationship and they become unhappy. So once I realise what I'm doing, I can get into the task of correcting it. As I correct what needs to be handled in my life, all my anger towards others disappears. My daughter Leslie recently commented on how fantastic my marriage is. Yes, I said. It's amazing how perfect Mark becomes when I stop expecting him to handle my life. Been there in a relationship where you've expected someone else to handle your life for you? Because that's powerful. I'm going to remember that one. So that was point number 3. Point number 4, we've got a couple left. Let's have a look. Point number 4 of taking full responsibility goes like this. Taking responsibility means handling the chatterbox. We've all got a chatterbox in our heads, which I experienced today. That little voice that went, whoa, Singapore? Ooh, that's a bit out of your comfort zone. Okay? So this is the little voice inside, that voice that tries to drive you crazy and often succeeds. I bet some of you don't even know it's there. I was shocked when I became aware of it myself, but I promise you it holds the key to all of your fears. It's the voice that heralds doom, lack, and losing. We're so used to its presence, we're often unaware it's talking to us. If you're not aware of your chatterbox, it sounds something like this. If I call him, maybe he'll think I'm too pushy. So this is for the women, or, well, actually, no, women or guys. If you're going to call someone, ask for a date. If I call him, maybe he'll think I'm too pushy. But maybe if I don't call him, he'll think I'm not interested. But if I call him and his message machine is on, I'll wonder where he is. And it will ruin my whole evening. Because I know he is out with another woman. But if I don't call, I'll wonder anyway. Maybe I shouldn't go out tonight. He might call, and then he'll think I'm out with someone else, and he'll think I don't care. But if I call, he'll really know I'm interested, and he'll probably start backing away from me. I wonder why he hasn't called. Maybe I was too cool this afternoon when I bumped into him at lunch. Maybe I should have been warmer. Oh, I wish I'd been wearing something more attractive. I look so fat in this outfit, and my makeup was terrible. He seemed a little cool. I wonder if it was because he heard I went out with Alan the other night. Totally mental, isn't it? Totally mental, but this is his voice. It's called negative stacking in positive psychology, this, guys. Negative stacking. We all do it. So he's a lot more nerve if he expects... oh, no, he should expect me to sit at home every night and wait. He shouldn't expect me to sit at home every night and wait for him to call. He has a lot more nerve if he expects that. The next time I see him, I'll ask him why he hasn't called. We were supposed to go out to the movies this week, and he didn't even remember. I'm going to confront him with a lack of responsibility. I won't be judgmental, but I'll certainly let him know how I feel, and on 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 it goes. Okay? So that's the chatterbox in your life. Maybe, for you, I get emails every day from people in the acting industry who are like, they want me to check emails they're going to send to casting directors, and they have this negative stacking, which is like, oh, if I send this... maybe they'll think bad of me. Maybe my showreel isn't good enough, so I'll send this when I've got another showreel scene. Oh, but I can't afford another showreel scene, so I'll have to save up for 3 months working my part-time job before I get another showreel scene. So I'll send my showreel in October, actually, when I've got that done, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. And people procrastinate and they never get anything done because of that little voice in their head. Okay, so that's point number 4. Okay, you can never take responsibility for your life whilst you're listening to that. Point number 5. Taking responsibility means being aware of payoffs that keep you stuck. Chatterbox is also a movie about a woman with a... Oh, okay. Interesting, Bobby. I didn't know that. Okay, but thanks for that. If people want to know what Bobby just said, just Google Chatterbox movie, and I'm sure you'll find out exactly what he just said. So yeah, taking responsibility means being aware of payoffs that keep you stuck. Now, you might not be aware of this, but if you are stuck in a job you hate, you might be actually subconsciously stuck there because you want to be stuck there, because it's safer to be stuck there than it is to actually be somewhere else where you actually want to be. So, okay, payoffs explain why we choose to perpetuate what we don't want in our lives. So you've got to go, what is the payoff of me being in this situation and why am I still stuck here, okay? Once you understand payoffs, your behaviour will make much more sense to you. Let me give you a few examples. So, Jean is someone in Susan's life who she knows. Jean was feeling horribly stuck in her job and wanted desperately to get out. So, Tony Rossi, you are stuck in your job and you want to get out, my man, okay? She viewed herself as a victim. Poor Jean, her chatterbox, you've put an image in my head now, Bobby. I can't listen to this properly. Her chatterbox constantly played the if only game, okay? If only the job market was a little better, she wouldn't have a problem. If only she had better skills, there would be more opportunity. What was really keeping Jean at her job were those payoffs, okay? What were the payoffs? By remaining a victim, Jean had clearly become comfortable. She didn't have to face possible rejection in her search for a new job. Although she hated a job, it was easy. She knew she could handle it. Okay, there's no fear there. She could handle it. She didn't have to question her competence. Piss easy job. Doesn't have to worry about it. She put in her hours and didn't have to expend any additional energy. And the job was relatively secure. So once Jean became aware of all of her payoffs, and Tony, you might have payoffs in your temp jobs or Starbucks or whatever you're doing because they're safe. They pay enough, but not as enough as you want, but not too little for you to actually be desperate and have to do something different and do something about it. So once she was aware of her payoffs, she had three choices. The first was to stay where she was and continue to be miserable. The second was to stay where she was and choose to enjoy her job. That's a different paradigm shift in her thinking. And the third was to choose to find a more satisfying job. What did she ultimately do? After recognising the payoffs for what they were, she was able to break away and find a new job. Good on you, Jean. As long as she was in victim mode, she was stuck, though. As soon as she realised she was choosing to stay because of the payoffs and not because of her if-onlys, she was able to move. So it isn't if only I had another scene on my show reel, I'd send it to a casting director. If only I had a new headshot. If only I was better at writing. If only I had a better computer to edit on. All this if only. It ain't that you're actually fearful of. You're fearful of sending your show reel off and the casting director saying it's shit. Or the fear of rejection. That's what it is. So you've got to realise it's not your if onlys that are holding you back. It's actually the security of not sending it and not putting yourself in a place of rejection that's holding you back. Okay, so that was point number 5, your payoffs. Point number 6, then we'll look at point number 7. And we will be done. We'll be done on time as well. We'll be done on time. We should be done by 10 o'clock. Dawn says true. So, point number 6. Taking responsibility means figuring out what you want in life and acting on it. Being applying to new places. Is Tony looking to work for a positive and creative person? Tony, I got your email as well about helping me out, man. I'm honestly, I'm looking out for things that you can do for me and that I can pay you to help me do. Because I know you would like to do stuff like that. So, I'm looking to build a team at some point as well, guys. When Acts on This starts making a bit more revenue, and all you guys who are here and are real inner circle, the core of what I would say of this community, you will get first opportunity to, if you want to be a part of that. Okay, so I do appreciate you showing up and being a part of this. Taking responsibility means figuring out what you want in life and acting on it. And Bobby got his pilot today. Well done, Bobby. You went for a meeting to get a pilot. Not an actual pilot who flies planes, a pilot thing of a TV or film thing, and he got it. So good on you, Bobby. So set your goals and then go out and work towards them. She says, figure out what kind of space you would like to live in, then create it. Okay? It doesn't take a lot of money to create a peaceful, loving home for yourself. Steve said he'd like to help out as well. I'm all over it, Steve. As soon as I've got the resources to do it, dude. Look around and see who you would love to include in your circle of friends. Then pick up the phone and make plans to get together. Don't sit around waiting for them to call you. Okay, check out your body. Determine what you need to do to create what looks and feels healthy to you, and then make it happen. Most of us do not sculpt our lives. Okay, we accept what comes our way, then we gripe about it. Many of us spend our lives waiting for the perfect mate, waiting for the perfect job, waiting for the perfect friends to come along. There's no need to wait for anyone to give you anything in your life. You have the power to create what you need, given commitment, clear goals, and action. It's just a matter of time. Truly, truly believe in that. And then the last key to taking responsibility for your life and ultimately control your life and direction of where you want to go. Taking responsibility means being aware, so powerful this, guys, of the multitude of choices you have in any given situation. One of my students put it this way: from the time my alarm clock rings, I have an hour and a half alone and realize it's all up to me what the day is going to start like. It's up to me whether I'm going to open the shades and let the light in, or mess around in the dark. It's my choice to lie in bed and say, yuck, I don't want to get up and go to work. I didn't finish the report I'm supposed to have ready today. Or it's my choice to lie in bed and give myself positive self-talk and look forward to the coming day. It's my choice to put the music on and dance around the apartment instead of putting on the negativity of the news or listening to my negative chatterbox. It's up I keep saying chatterbox. Bobby, you're a bad man. It's up to me whether I'm going to worry about how my body is not in shape, or whether I'm going to tell myself I'm in the process of creating a great body. The whole day is up to me. And you go through each day, okay? It's important to realize as you go through each day that at every moment you are choosing the way you feel. And I know this is the thing people struggle with the most. They tell me all the time, but I can't help feel that way. And I know firsthand what that's like over the last 2 days in Manchester, what's happened. But I have very consciously chosen to focus on how I am feeling and to focus on the good and to focus on the crowds of 25,000 people who turned out yesterday in Manchester for a vigil at 6 o'clock and brought the entire community together, and focus on seeing, everybody of every race, creed, colour, religion, age, rub shoulders and stand together. And I've chosen to focus on that because that is making me feel way better than focus on those 2 or 3 videos that play on repeat on Sky News or whatever, Facebook video you happen to see of people literally running for their lives. Because that ain't going to feed you. Simon says, it's interesting, so Simon says it's which wolf you feed. So in Bulletproof Actor, which I'm opening up in about 3 weeks, guys. It only opens twice a year. It's a science about positive psychology, real intensive 5-week course that I open twice a year, specifically for actors to install an unstoppable confidence in them. Go to bulletproofactor.com. Simon came on it in January earlier this year. And we have a thing where we go, look, you've got 2 wolves that live inside your head, and there's a battle between them going on all the time, the positive wolf and the negative wolf. And the one that wins the fight is the one you choose to feed. And it is all down to you. You get to choose which wolf you throw the food to. And you can throw it to the negative one, and you can let that rule you, or you can throw it to the positive one, and you can let that negative wolf starve. And that negative wolf, unfortunately, will never die. He's a bastard and will always be hanging around, but he can get a hell of a lot thinner than the wolf who's the positive wolf who you can feed right up. He'll always be hanging around and will rear his head now and again, but it's your choice of which one you actually get to feed. It's a very powerful little analogy, that if you can remember that one. So when a difficult situation comes into your life, it's possible to tune into your mind and say, Simon says, I highly recommend the course, best course. Do it if you haven't. Cheers, Simon. Say, okay, choose. So you get a difficult situation in your life, tune into your mind and say, okay, choose. Are you going to make yourself miserable or content? Are you going to visualize scarcity or abundance? Are you going to put yourself down for getting angry with your husband? Or are you simply going to notice that insecurity that you were feeling, okay, at that time and discuss it with him? The choice is definitely yours. Pick the one that contributes most to your aliveness and growth. And a couple of other examples of this are: your friend decides not to go with you on the road trip you plan together. You're really angry. Or you understand she has her reasons or his reasons, and you find someone else to share the trip with. Or you go alone and have a ball anyway. Your husband's an alcoholic. You spend your whole life trying to change him or scold him. Or you attend Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and learn to change yourself. Your flu has caused you to miss the big meeting you were scheduled to attend. You're sure this means the end of your whole career, or you realise you have limitless ways of creating a successful career for yourself. Your visit to sunny California is filled with torrents of rain. You lament your bad luck for the entire trip, or you find ways to make it a great vacation anyway. Ultimately, it's all about choice, 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 choice. Okay, so there's two things that I want you to do, two little exercises for those seven decisions. I only want you to do just one exercise from these seven. The thing that I think is probably most useful for most people if you are stuck doing things you don't want or you're in a situation you don't want to be in. I want you to list all of the payoffs that you are currently getting. Buy a plastic poncho if it's raining, says Caroline, exactly. List all the payoffs that you get from staying stuck in some aspect of your life. So whatever aspect you feel stuck in, just write down the payoff. So they are things like what you don't have to face if you stay stuck there. So it might be you don't have to face stepping out your comfort zone, embarrassment, maybe financial insecurity for a little while or something like that. What are the payoffs of being stuck? What don't you have to do if you stay stuck there? Okay, what comfort do you get from it? What image do you get to hold on to? Be as honest with yourself as you possibly can be. And when you're aware of what you're doing, you'll automatically discard a lot of your robot-like behavior, okay? You'll lead yourself instead of being led. So look at what the payoffs are. So for me, when I was stuck in that dead-end job, the payoffs were just enough money to get by. Weekends where I could go and get drunk and forget my life and have no responsibility. The payoffs were going home and not having to actually work for myself, having to hustle for myself. I ultimately finished at 5 o'clock or whenever my shift finished and I had no other responsibility. There were things like that, and by being stuck there, I didn't have to get out of my comfort zone. I could blame the industry for why I wasn't working as an actor. I could blame the lack of an agent for not getting acting jobs. I could blame my university for not teaching me enough about the business. All this stuff. You drunk is scary, says Bobby. Hey, Bobby, I don't drink anymore at all for years, but I was such a good drunk. I was such a happy drunk. You get people who are a little bit violent or a bit crazy or they get a bit sad. I was just like, if you imagine me now, but 10 times as sort of hyper, I was dancing on tables and stuff. I was a pretty good drunk. I don't want to go back to that though. So seven. Let's just sum up these 7 ways, guys. So 7 ways to reclaim your power, because I know no one's going to remember all of these 7 things, but just listen to these, and this is going to sum it up for you. Right. 1. Avoid casting blame on an external force for your bad feelings about life. Nothing outside yourself can control your thinking or your actions. That's point number 1. Nothing outside of yourself can control your thoughts, your thinking, or your actions. Do you love everyone, Ross? Did you love everyone, Ross? I do love everyone, Dawn, as long as they're a good person. I don't love people who go around and kill innocent children, like happened this week. No, absolutely not. But I do have, I project as much positivity onto people as I possibly can, and realise even if people have made some bad mistakes, not as serious as that mistake I just mentioned, but if they've made some errors in judgment and they've said something they shouldn't have said, I don't take offence by practically anything someone says to me. I don't take any criticism as such. I'll either take that as feedback, or I'll say I'll think if it is criticism and the person's doing it in malice, then it's a poor reflection on them, and I'll project more positivity onto them. I use this example of people being cut up in cars. You have a choice. If a car cuts in front of you, you have a choice of how you react. Now, I don't drive because of my eyesight, unfortunately, but I've been in cars where people have been cut up and they go mental, straight on the horn, tailgating that car. And I'm like, listen, you've got 2 choices now. You let this raise your cortisol levels in your body and your stress, and you put yourself literally through physical turmoil by feeling shit and angry. Or you project positivity onto that driver in front of you, and you say to yourself, okay, wait a minute, he might have just cut me up and be speeding like that because he's just had a phone call from the hospital saying that his dad's had a heart attack and he's got moments to live. And that may or may not be the case, but it's a way of actually, positively projecting some kind of empathy onto people that's going to help you choose the way you react. You respond, is the word, not react. You respond to that situation. You want to react. That's the problem. Your instinct is, anger, anger, anger. You've got to stop and say to yourself, now choose. I was with a driver like that on the bloody motorway, crap myself, says D. It does happen. People do, get calls like that where they're like, you've got to be here now. I understand, stuff like that can happen. I had to phone my brother and say, listen, mate, I think Dad's got hours to live. You need to get here now. My brother doesn't drive either because he's got this eye condition I've got as well. And he had to get on a train all the way from London. And unfortunately, he didn't make it back. And in time to ever see my dad alive again. So those phone calls do happen. People do rush. My brother would have been rushing through Euston Station, probably bumping into people, kicking people because he can't see very well like me, all this kind of stuff. And people have two choices. They look at him and go, God, he's a dick. Just running through, hitting everybody. He doesn't give a shit about anybody. Or you can go, actually, you know what? He's like getting back because he may never see his dad again. And he didn't, but a lot of people wouldn't have chosen to project that positivity onto him. So I'm just aware of that. If I'm on the escalator in London and I'm on the underground and I say, excuse me to someone and they don't move, I now think, oh, okay, wait a minute. Maybe they're deaf and they didn't hear me, as opposed to going, oh, okay, they're an ignorant twat or whatever it is, So you've got to just project positivity onto people. It makes your life way less stressful. Do it for yourself as much as for them. Seriously, just makes your life much easier to deal with. So point number 2 here was avoid blaming yourself for not being in control as well. It's really important. Compassion for yourself. You're doing the best you can and you're on the way to reclaiming your power. You are on the journey of getting better every day. Be aware of when and where you are playing the victim role, okay? Familiarize yourself with your biggest enemy, your chatterbox, remember? We mentioned that. Figure out the payoffs that keep you stuck. Determine what you want in your life and act on it. And point number 7 was be aware of the many choices you have. You've got so many choices in both actions and feelings in any situation that comes your way. Choose the path that contributes to your growth and makes you feel at peace with yourself and others. And that's the end of that chapter. Literally, we've got all the way to the end there, guys. But yeah, ultimately, the whole message tonight is just recognize when you're playing the victim. I've missed your message there, Steve. Say that again, dude. Because you might be subconsciously playing the victim right now, and you might feel that you don't have control over your life and career and where you're going. And the message really is you do. You are, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, I won't swear, but 100%, 100% in control of your life. You really are. So I said a minute ago, again, to echo, you can't choose the situations you end up in, but you can absolutely choose the way you respond to them. You're a great role model, Ross. Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate that. But I'm not perfect, Dawn. That's the thing as well. Like I say, I study all of this stuff so much. I read so many books, and I take massive action. I implement everything, test stuff out, see if it works for me. Some stuff does, some stuff doesn't. But still, there's situations thrust upon us that really challenge me. Just the mood of the city in Manchester when I woke up to that news. I walked to the gym in such a foul mood, like emotional, almost a bit teary, feeling almost like, it felt like a personal kind of attack on the city, and I live here. And I'd been to, hello, who's this? Sharon. Hello, Sharon. I've been at that arena so many times, and it was very, very close to home. So, at times like that, I know it's really hard. I don't have anyone who was even there, or anyone, and people on this scope. There's a lot of people from Manchester in the Acts on This group. People might know people who've been directly affected, or people in the Acts on This community might have actually been directly affected in this. We've probably got 2,000 Manchester members in the Acts on This Facebook group. There's nearly 5,000 of us in there now, guys. It's up to about 4,995, 96 last time I checked this evening, so I'm sure we're going to break the 5,000 barrier, by the way. If you're an actor and you're not in the group, facebook.com/groups/Acts on This TV. Would so love you to be a part of that community, the most positive community for actors I've just ever seen in my life. Incredibly proud of everyone who's part of that. But yeah, sometimes even when you know all this stuff and you really do feel you rule your emotions serve you, you don't serve your emotions. When you feel you have emotional mastery, which I do feel I've got to a pretty high level, it's still so challenging sometimes, and you've really got to implement these strategies very, very consciously in order to allow them to empower you. So remember what we talked about tonight. I would recommend as well, everybody get this book. Get this book. Sharon says, had friends who were due to go but didn't for one reason or another. So lucky, very incredible, Sharon. There'll be so many stories like that. Absolutely, people who were supposed to be there who didn't go, and actually, that might have ended up saving their lives. But yeah, feel the fear and do it anyway. Susan Jeffers, we're going to look at one more chapter next Wednesday, okay? If you want to recap on what we've spoken about tonight, you can watch the replay. Actually, right now, Jen's just joined as a premium member on Acts on This. Jen, I hugely appreciate your support. Massively appreciate your support. So if you sign up for an annual membership, so if you sign up for annual, you get 3 months free, by the way, guys. Acts on This is a website that I run where I bring on the greatest minds in the acting industry and ultimately ask them how they've had their success. These are very famous actors, casting directors, agents, producers, writers, etc. It's very much a force for good. Jen, a lot of your premium membership that you've just paid there, things just come up here actually. So you got an annual membership, so that's 90 quid. A lot of the revenue from that will go to charity as well, Jen. So you're not just helping me build a community and helping yourself by getting the information that's available on the site. You're also helping me help other people. Well, you're helping me help you help other people. We support some great charities. Every guest who comes on gets a charity donation that we give to their charity of choice. So I massively appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support. That's great. Honestly, like, I can't say anything else. Thank you. Amazing. All about community. It really is. And we've created an awesome community here, guys. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the thing is, it's like, I've seen so many people like in the Facebook group reach out to the people who are struggling sometimes. And people have been very brave, actually, sometimes, and vulnerable in the Facebook group. And they've posted like, guys, I am struggling with this. You know, I've been working as an actor for 12 years. Well, I've been attempting to get work as an actor for 12 years. I'm in a really dark place right now because I feel like my time's running out and, you know, I'm not getting anywhere. And maybe they are subconsciously in that victim mentality we've spoken about tonight. And I see people in that group who have never met them in real life, you know, maybe have never spoken to them even in the group before, pile into that post and lift this person out of that shit, you know, lift them out of that darkness and really help them. It's such a positive community that we've grown, and I've never seen it like this anywhere else. I've never seen another acting community do this. Most acting communities feed the victim mentality. They all go in there and go, life's shit, I'm not getting any work, and everyone else goes, yeah, me too, it's so shit, isn't it? We just don't do that. And it's not even something that, you know, I guess we've consciously kind of manufactured like that. It's just, I think this community just attracts those type of people, which is amazing. It says I truly believe your vibe attracts your tribe, and hopefully I put a nice vibe out there of positivity and, you know, and empowerment, and that attracts people who resonate with that, and you all do, obviously, because you're here. I'd say easily the best across social networks, says Steve. Well, you've created it yourself, Steve. You know, you're a massive part of it, mate. So everybody, thank you. And yeah, if the one thing that, if you're in a position to do so, helps that community grow more and more and more, is the support through those premium memberships. And it's not a fat cat organization business. I don't run it with anyone else. It's me, guys. And that money doesn't go in my back pocket. It goes literally to enable me to bring more and more guests on for you, and, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger names. You know, I really want to get the biggest names on there. I would love to get people like Ricky Gervais on, Will Smith, The Rock, you know, massive, massive actors. They're going to require pretty big charity donations, I think, and I'm not in a position financially to give those myself. We might need to, you know, get a $5,000 charity donation for Ricky Gervais. So if people do upgrade their membership and go premium, I will try and make it happen. I sent you a message earlier, Ross, about positivity, says Lindsay. Well, I'll check that out, Lindsay. Thank you. Yeah, if anyone ever wants to get in touch with me, sometimes I apologize as well, guys. I noticed there's like an inbox on Facebook. There's like a message request thing, and you don't always get notifications about that. And sometimes I'll go into that and I'll see like 6 messages from 2 months ago that I've missed. I'm checking that more regularly now. If people are messaging me on Facebook and I've not replied, that's probably what's happened. I've not ignored you. If you want to get hold of me and know that it's going to come to me for sure, it might take me 10 days, 2 weeks to reply because I get a lot of emails, but I always reply. Just email ross@actonthis.tv. That's the best way to get hold of me. Or even better, if it's just a quick message, is Twitter, @RossAGrant. I check Twitter multiple times a day, @RossAGrant or @ActOnThisTV. Carrie May says, ask them now, and then at least you'll know how much you need. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Well, I had Warwick Davis on. So Warwick Davis, you'll know as he was Wicket in Star Wars. You know, he was in Ricky Gervais's Life's Too Short. Everyone knows Warwick Davis. I had him on for a live broadcast that you can watch and Acts on This. He's such an incredible guy. You'll know him from the Harry Potter films as well. He gave me Ricky Gervais's personal assistant's email. And actually emails ago, Ricky, Willow as well. Absolutely, he was in Willow as well. He starred in Willow, yeah. And I emailed, and unfortunately Ricky was doing the Golden Globes at the time, so he couldn't do this. But I reckon I will at some point be able to get him to commit when he's less busy. So, yeah, I don't know how much he would require. It'll no doubt be for a charity of an animal organisation. He's massive on animal welfare, isn't he? But it's people like that I want to get on, and I can only do that with your help, guys. I literally, that's just me being very candid, and I need to grow this community, and also I need to give you guys more value. I appreciate that. If you're going to be paying £10 a month for something, if there's things that are on the site that you're like, actually that's good but it's not that useful, this stuff's great, I would like more of this is really useful, please let me know what you want more of. I mean, right there on the site now on actonthis.tv is over 400 hours worth of interviews with the biggest casting directors in the UK. Some of the biggest actors, BAFTA-winning actors like Jason Watkins, Ruth Madeley, Emmy-nominated casting directors like Jill Trevelyan, who cast Downton Abbey, Daniel Edwards, who casts Mr. Selfridge in Line of Duty, Kate Rose-James, who cast Line of Duty, Ripper Street, Victor and Kelly, who cast Broadchurch, Doctor Who casting director Andy Pryor, head of Hollyoaks casting Peter Hunt. The who's who of casting. And if you want to get in touch with these people and actually, one, have something to get in touch with them about and learn what they want and what they don't want from actors, for £10 a month, it's an absolute no-brainer. You go on that site, you listen to those podcasts, you reach out to those people via Twitter or email. Hey, Andy, loved the interview you did on Act on This. Just wanted to say, got so much value from it. Thanks so much. By the way, you don't know me. I've never had the pleasure of being introduced to you. Here's my spotlight link and my show reel. If you've got 2 minutes, I would love you to check it out. That's it. But you've got a reason for getting in touch then. Okay? And particularly if you can mention a point that he says in the podcast 50 minutes into it, so he knows that you've not just gone, I'm just going to pretend I've listened. If you can pull something specific out of that and go, hey, that point you made about following your gut in an audition or whatever it might be and doing this when you come in or not doing that really resonated with me. I'm going to implement that into my next audition. Would love it to be with you at some point. Just use your head. But it's so valuable, this stuff that's on there, guys. It's stuff that I wish I'd have had when I was, when I was starting out. And it's also stuff that I get so much from. When I go and interview these guys, I implement everything that they say. And that's why I'm booking jobs. I'm going to a costume fitting tomorrow for a new BBC One drama I'm doing. So I'll do some Instagram stories from that, from the Sharp Project in Manchester. I put my success down to that, from actually listening to this stuff, not just taking it on board and going, that's nice to know theoretically, but executing on it. And you must, if you listen to those podcasts now, Jen, and watch those video interviews, like I say, 400 hours worth, so you've got quite a lot to go through in total. Well, 150 hours worth of premium stuff to go through. You've got a lot of stuff to sit through. But get your pen and paper out when you're watching, make notes, and make sure you execute and implement the stuff you're saying. If you're going to listen and not do anything about it, it is a waste of your time. You've got to implement, but there's so much actionable content on actonthis.tv right now that if you're not part of it and you're an actor, I think you're doing yourself a massive disservice. And that's not me being biased. It's something that I absolutely would be all over if I was in that position. Legend, thank you so much. Definitely will. So rare to get these people to open up. It is, and that was the whole point of it. I was like, you know what? I went to one of the best drama schools in the country and I came out knowing nothing about the business. Nothing at all. It prepared me to act, but it prepared me for zero in terms of the business, getting in touch with casting directors, knowing what's what, knowing how to audition for TV, set etiquette, how to, be when you're on a TV set, all this kind of stuff. It didn't prepare me at all. And it was one of only 5 accredited drama schools in the country when I went in 2005. An awesome drama school, the Capitol Theatre, the Manchester Metropolitan School of Theatre in Manchester. Massive shout out to them for teaching me how to act. Hugely grateful. Teaching the business of the business. No drama school at the time was doing it. Not just them, just nobody. Use the I can handle it mindset and audition on Saturday and enjoyed the experience. Yes, that's what it's all about. It's just about going, I can handle whatever happens. There's literally no need to be fearful. I'm going to get control by trusting myself to be able to handle whatever happens in this audition. Thus, I don't have to control it because I know I'm going to be able to react positively to whatever happens. That's the whole point in this book. It's literally the message, the core message of Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's incredible. So thank you. Just thanks, guys, so much. I know there's a lot of people joined this scope tonight. I hope it's been useful. If you've joined at the end now, when I end this scope, go back and just watch it on the replay. You can watch it instantly now on Twitter or on Periscope. I will upload this to actonthis.tv tomorrow as well, and it will be available on the audio experience tomorrow as well. And that's if you go to iTunes or Stitcher.com, just search for Act on This TV, all one word, and you'll find it right there. You can subscribe for free. There's about 58 episodes so far. This will be episode 59 that's on there. There's 185 of these Periscopes available on actonthis.tv. There's 400 hours worth of content with all those names, the biggest names in the industry. So much stuff out there to help you guys, and I love every minute of creating this. So if there's anything that you want me to create specifically, or get a specific actor on, a specific casting director on who's not already been on, there's only really been Nina Gold, I think, in the UK, maybe Robert Stern, who's not been on yet. I'm going to do some live broadcasts on Twitter, video broadcasts like this, with a couple of casting directors very soon as well. So they're going to be like live open Q&As where everyone can pile in and ask their questions live. So they're going to be happening. But if you want a specific person on, or a specific actor, let's aim to do that. I just need your feedback. ross@actonthis.tv, or leave it in the Facebook group for Act On This. We've probably broken the 5,000 member mark by now whilst being on this scope. Facebook.com/groups/ActOnThisTV. So hugely appreciate you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you to everybody else. There's still people joining right now. Massively appreciate you guys all for being here. If you're here for the first time, please check out actonthis.tv. Go and see what I do. Go and get the 7 Secrets of Casting Success podcast for free from the website. When you hit the website straight away, you'll see a little pop-up of me come up, and it'll say, hey, let me ask you something. If you want to get more castings, click on this button, and I'll send you the ebook. Or just go to actonthis.tv/free secrets. actonthis.tv/free secrets, and you'll be able to get that ebook, and you can hear a sample of 7 podcasts that I've done with the biggest casting directors in the industry. Sharon David Tennant has not been on yet. However, Kelly Valentine Henry and Victor Jenkins have been on, who cast Broadchurch, which stars David Tennant. Lewis Arnold, the director who directs Broadchurch, has been on. So David is the next obvious choice, and maybe Olivia Colman as well. I will make it happen. These people will all be on the website at some point, I promise you. And I'm particularly excited because the new BBC drama that I'm about to start filming in July, I can't say the names of these people yet because it's not been released who's been cast in this show as the leads. But there's 3 women, very strong female. This is great as well for women. Strong female leads in this drama. It's a fantastic drama. 2 are very well known who I want to get on the site. 1 is a complete unknown. And that's what's exciting as well, because the BBC have taken a chance on this unknown. It was her first big job in 15 years of hanging in there, which is great. Sarah Lancashire, I work with on Happy Valley. Would love to get her on as well at some point. I met her a few times at read-throughs for various things. These are like my dream team of people that people are mentioning here. I promise you I'll do my best to get these guys on. And I do believe you've got Julie Hesmondhalgh on, haven't you? So Julie, if you go on the site right now, you can listen to a podcast I did with Julie when she was back in Corrie. Many years ago, 3 years ago, something like 4 years ago, maybe even longer, 5 years ago. I also did a phone call with her that I recorded very recently that's on the website. If you just search for Julie Hesmondhalgh on actonthis.tv, you'll find it. But yeah, she's coming in to do a full multi-camera video interview for me, which are the things that I call the Act On This TV episodes. Rob Collier from Downton was the last guy to do one, but I've had Jordan Hogg on from Coronation Street. He's a director. BAFTA-winning Ruth Madeley. George Bukhari from Ordinary Lies and The A Word. Chris Stone, the independent filmmaker. And yeah, Julie's probably going to be next, or maybe if not next, the one after the one that I'm going to release next. But if you've got any other suggestions, it excites me when people get involved with this and they go, right, I want that name, because it's like setting the gauntlet and a bit of a challenge for me. I will go out and get those people for you. So yeah, hit me up with a tweet at ActOnThisTV or at Ross A. Grant. Hit me up on Instagram at Ross A. Grant or at ActOnThisTV again. Email Ross at ActOnThisTV. However you want to get hold of me, and I will do my very, very best to make it happen. All right, so appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to be back on Monday night. It's a bank holiday Monday, isn't it? This coming Monday, bank holiday. We'll do it anyway. I don't think I'll be out. If I'm in, I'll be doing a Periscope, and then we'll do the last book club on Susan Jeffers' Feel the Fear and do it anyway next Wednesday. Check out the audio experience as well for some exclusive content that I'm going to put on there. Search for Act On This TV on iTunes and Stitcher. And I'll catch up with you guys very, very soon. Oh, I want to show this graphic again. This was just something that I saw the other day, and I thought we've shown this before, but this was just the thing that I think people need to see about this whole victim thing and going, oh, I'm just going to give up. And it was this diamonds graphic. We've seen it plenty of times before, guys, haven't we? But I like it. It's just nice to remind myself of that every time. The guy in the bottom who's just about to break through screws up by walking away. This girl who I talked about in this new drama, 15 years she spent trying to get a role in something big, as a lead. Could have given up at any point. Now she's finally got it. So be the guy on the top who's smashing their way, smashing his way towards what you want. Never give up, guys, all right? Just a little reminder. Right, so I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much. Do appreciate you, and I'll be back on Monday night, 9 p.m. Make sure you subscribe on Periscope, and then you'll get a notification every time I go live. Is she your friend? Says Caroline. Who are you talking about? Is she? We talking about Julie? Julie Hesmondale, I've known for quite a while now. Many years. Yeah, she used to throw an amazing garden party. She's got a huge garden in where she lives. Like, I mean, massive. Like, literally, it's almost like Glastonbury in her back garden. Thank you, Si. It says great scope. Thanks very much. So yeah, if you're talking about Julie, yeah, I've known her quite a while. Amazing woman who seems to get everywhere, and just was awesome. Oh, the girl who waited 15 years. Yes, I do. I actually have known her a long time because I met her at acting classes, and we did a scene together that we laugh at now because it is actually on YouTube somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where that is because it's horrific. It's filmed so badly, and we were like, right, we need to never ever let people find that, because when we make it, she's now made it. I'm still waiting, but hopefully it will happen. Yeah, we don't want that resurfacing. That'll definitely be like on It'll Be Alright on the Night style, Before They Were Famous program, something like that. But it's good, and I've got many friends who have like spent a long time waiting, and they've finally got their break, guys. So please, just hang in there. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with being patient. That thing I spoke about the other night, macro patience. On the grand scale of things, be very patient. However, on the day-to-day basis, act very fast. Very quickly. You've got to implement, execute, and take those opportunities when they arise. I have tapes like that too, says Caroline. I think we all have. Absolutely. Right, good, love you and leave you. Thank you so much. Do appreciate you, and I will see you next week. If I can do anything for you, pipe up in the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/act on this TV. All right, love you guys. Bye for now.